Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lunch Poetry. This is Arif Mahadevan, your host. Today, I'm going to be reading a poem that uh, occurred to me as something I should add to my lunch poetry list because I've been reading this really great book by Brandon Sanderson. It's the latest in his series. It's called The Rhythm of War. It's a part of a larger series of fantasy fiction that he writes. And when I was reading one of those chapters, I realized that a lot of time descriptive poetry, if you take out all the line breaks and you take out all of the intentional pauses that the poet adds, can be read as just a paragraph. So it's just any other paragraph in an essay or in a story. And it's just how the poet chooses to break up the poem, where he places the emphasis, or where she wants you to pause to think about something, is part of the makings of a poem. And oftentimes, when someone is reading a poem, that's when you also get their interpretation of that poem because they choose their own pauses, they choose their own intonations and their own path through that paragraph. So here's a poem by David Whyte. And I chose this poem because David Whyte himself has actually read this poem and had it recorded. So you can hear this in the poet's voice. And I thought that's kind of cool because you can listen to me reading it and the way that I perceive this poem. And you can also listen to David Whyte himself, the poet himself, read it and see how it differs. So this is Sometimes by David Whyte. Sometimes, if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories, who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. Requests to stop what you are doing right now and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away. Thanks for listening.